Alright, testing. Testing. Okay. Public Law 11290, January 3rd, 2012, Pipeline Safety Regulatory Certainty and Job Creation Act 2011. An act, Public Law 11290, 112 Congress. Section 1, short title, amendment of the title of the United States with the Code, definition, table of contents. Let's zoom in on this. Short title, Act may be cited with the Pipeline Safety Regulatory Certainty Job Creation Act 2011, amendment Title 49 United States, except that otherwise expressly provided whenever the Act is amended with the repeal of the express term of the amendment to and or repeal the section of the other provision reference shall be considered as made with the section of the provision Title 49 United States Code. Applicability of Chapter 601 definition, in this case, any term of the defined in 601 of the Title 49 United States Code have the meaning given in the term high consequent area action with the high consequent area means the area is defined in 60109. Title 49 United States Code, table of contents, table of context of the Act, Section 1, short title amendment, Title 49 United States Code, definition, table of contents, Section 2, civil penalties, Section 3, pipeline damage prevention, Section 4, automatic remote control shut-off valves, Section 5, integrity management, Section 6, public education awareness of Section 7, cast iron gas pipelines, Section 8, leak detection, Section 9, accident incident notification, Section 10, transportation related onshore faculty facility response plan compliance, Section 11, pipeline infrastructure collection, Section 12, transportation related oil flow lines, Section 13, cost recovery for design reviews, Section 14, biofuel pipelines, Section 15, carbon dioxide pipelines, Section 16, study with the transportation diluted bitumen, Section 17, study of the non-petroleum hazard liquid transported by pipeline, Section 18, clarification, Section 19, maintenance of efforts, Section 20, administrative enforcement process, Section 21, gas hazard liquid gather lines, Section 22, excessive flow valve, Section 23, maximum allowable operating pressure, Section 24, limitation on any corporation documentation reference, Section 25, pipeline safety training with the safety local government personnel, Section 26, minority owned, woman-owned disadvantaged business, Section 27, reported pipeline projects, Section 28, cover over buried pipelines, Section 29, seismicity, Section 30, travel constellation pipeline projects, Section 31, pipeline inspection enforcement needs, and 32, authorization appropriations. Section 2, civil penalties, general penalties consideration, Section 6122, amendment in subsection A1, first sentence with the striking $100,000, inserting $200,000, last sentence striking $1 million, adding inserting $2 million, in subsection B1B, striking the ability to pay the operator assistant investigation, Section 6118E, is read as follows: operator assistant investigation. Assistance and access if the Secretary or the National Transportation Safety Board investigate for the accident incident involved with the pipeline facility. The operator facility shall make available to the Secretary of the Board all records and information in any way that pertain to the accident incident, including integrity management plan, test results, and the affordable all reasonable assistance for the investigation of the accident incident, operator assistance investigation. And General Secretary may impose the civil penalty under Section 60, 112, 122. The person obstructed to prevent Secretary from carrying out inspection investigation under the chapter. B. Obstructs define general of the paragraph of the term of the obstructs include the action where no person nowhere known or reasonable should have the known prevented, hindered, and impeded the investigation without good cause. Good cause and clause of the term good cause may include the actions restriction access to facilities that are not secure for the safety of the non-pipeline personnel or visitors. Administrative penalty caps incapable, Section 6120A1, amended with the ending of the following with the maximum civil penalties. Administrative enforcement actions under 6122 should not apply enforcement actions under this section. Judicial review administrative enforcement order, Section 6119A, is amended in subsection heading the striking and wavering orders, inserting orders in final agency actions, and striking about the application waiver under 6118C and D with the title inserting under this chapter. Section 2, pipeline damage prevention. Minimum standard for the state one-call notification program, Section 6103A of the amendment to read as follows: the minimum standard general in order to qualify for the grant under 6106 for the state of the one-call notification program. Minimum should provide appropriate participation of all underground facility operators, including government operators, appropriate participation by excavators, including all government contract excavators, and flexible, effective enforcement under the state law with respectable participation, useful of one-call notifications. Exemption prohibited in order to qualify grant under 6106 for the state one-call notification program may not accept municipalities, state agencies, or other contractor and their contractors one-call notification system require the program. State damage prevention program 6134A is amended paragraph 1 with the striking after the semicolon, paragraph 2B with the striking B, inserting B and by adding the end of the following does not provide the exemption municipalities, state agencies of their contractors from one-call notification system requirements for the program. Effective date of the amendments made by the section and taken effect for 2 years after day of this enactment of this act. Excavation damage study for the Secretary of Transportation should conduct the study of the impact excavation damage of the pipeline safety. Content shall study that include the analysis of the frequency, severity of the different type of the excavation damage incidents, analyzing exemption of the one call notification system requirements in each state, in comparison exemption of the one call notification system requirements in each state with the type of the excavation damage incident within that state, analysis of potential safety benefits of adverse consequences, eliminating all exemption for the mechanized excavation from the state of one call notification system. Report no later than 2 years of the day of the enactment of this act. Secretary shall submit to the committee with the transportation infrastructure, the committee with the engineering, energy, commerce, and House of Representatives. The Committee of the Commerce and Safety Alliance and Transportation Center of the report with the result of the study. Automatic and remote control shutoff valve section 6102 is amended by striking section J3 with the adding of the ending of the following automatic and remote control shutoff valve with new for new transmission pipelines. In general, no later than 2 years after the date of the enactment, subsection consider with the factors specified in the B2 the senators. So the Secretary is appropriate to require the regulation of the automatic remote control shutoff valves equivalent technology with the technically operational, feasible with the transmission pipelines to construct with entirely replaced after the date of the Secretary issue final ruling of such requirement. High content area studies. A study with the Comptroller General of the United States shall conduct with the study with the ability of the transmission pipeline facility operator to respond to liquid gas relief of the pipeline segment located with a high consequent area. Consideration conducting the study with the Comptroller should consider the swift leak with the detection pipeline shutdown capabilities, location, and nearest the response personnel of the commodities, the risk and the benefits, include installing automatic and remote control shut valves. See report no later than the first year of the day of the enactment of subsection comptroller of the shall submit to the committee with the transportation infrastructure with the committee with the engineering commerce and with the house of the representative of the committee and with the commerce science and transportation of the Senate of the report result of the study. Section 5 of the integrity management evaluation no later than 18 months after the day of the enactment, the Secretary of Transportation shall evaluate whether the integrity management system requirement that elements should be expanded with beyond the high consequent area with respect to the gas transmission pipeline facility with applying an integrity management program requirement that elements thereof with additional areas would mitigate the need for the class location and requirements factors in conducting the evaluation under subsection shall consider the minimum of the following with containing priority to enhance protection of the public safety, continuing importance of the risk reduction in high consequent area, the incremental cost of applying integrity management standing of the pipelines outside of the high consequent area where operators are already conducting assessment beyond what is required within the title and under Chapter 601, Title 49 of the United States Code. The need to undertake an integrity management assessment repair for the manner with achievable and sustainable that does not require disrupt the pipeline service. The absence of phasing the extension of the integrity management requirement that beyond the high consequent area that include the most effective and efficient operation option of decreasing risk of the increasing numbers of the people living and working in proximity of the pipeline, the appropriation apply with the repair criteria such as the pressure reduction, special requirements for the scheduling, remediation to as the area of the non-high consequent area. Report no later than 2 years after the day of the enactment. The Secretary shall submit to the committee with the transportation infrastructure, for the committee with the injury commerce, for the House of the representative of the committee with the commerce, for the sign of the transportation of the Senate with the report based on evaluation conducted under subsection and contained with the Secretary analysis finding regarding expansion of integrity management requirements elements with the beyond of the high consequent area with respect to the gas transmission pipeline facility applying with integrity management program requirement the elements of the end thereof with additional areas with the mitigate with the need of the class of location requirement of data reporting. Secretary shall collect with the relevant data necessary to complete with the evaluation requirement subsection a technical correction section 6109 C3B is amended to read as follows. Subject in paragraph paragraph 5 of the periodic reassessment facility with a minimum of 1 year once every 7 calendar years review of the method described in subparagraph A. Secretary may extend the deadline with additional 6 months for the operator with the submit of the written notice for the Secretary with decision justification need of extension. Making requirements period, review period defined in subsection term of the review period, meaning for the period beginning with the day of the enactment, with the ending of the earlier of the day of the 1 year after the day of completion of the report under subsection C, with the day of the 3 years of the day of enactment of this act. Congressional authority to provide for the Congress the necessary time of the review of the result of the report required subsection C with the implement appropriate recommendations. Secretary shall not during the review of the period issue regulations described in paragraph 3 be stand finding as soon as practical following the review period. Secretary shall issue final regulations to prescribe in subparagraph B, Secretary findings in the report required under subsection C with integrity management system requirements and elements thereof that shall be expanded by higher consequent areas, and with respect for the gas transmission pipeline facility applying the integrity management program requirement that elements thereof the additional areas would mitigate the need for the class location requirements. Regulations issued in the section of Secretary under subparagraph A, if any, with expand integrity management system requirements for the elements of there beyond the high consequence area, removing the redundant class location requirements of gas transmission pipeline facility with the regulation under integrity management program and adopted and implemented under 6109 C2 Title 49 of the United States Code. Saving clause in general and nothing was done with any of the precision subsection of the Secretary during the review period with the maybe that she found regulations described in paragraph 3b with the Secretary determined the condition of the post, risk of public safety, property, environmental, and present with the imminent hazard that exists with the regulation will address the risk hazard, imminent hazard defined in subparagraph A with the term imminent hazard mean with the existence condition of the relay with the pipeline operation that presents substantial likelihood of death and serious illness and severe personal injury, substantial endangerment to the health or property of the environment may occur. Report to Congress of the risk-based pipeline reassessment interval no later than 2 years of the date of the enactment of the Comptroller of the United States to evaluate whether the risk-based assessment, reassessment intervals are more with the effective alternative to managing risk of pipeline for the high concentrated areas one base, so the complete when compared with the reassessment interval specified in section 6109 G3B with the Title 49 United States Code. The number of the anomalies found based on assessment required with the 6109 C3A with the Title 49 United States compared with the number of anomalies and found with the reassessment required with section 6109 C3B with the stuff of the title of the progress made with the implementing recommendation of the government accounting office of the report 06945. The current relevance of the recommendations have not been implemented. Section 6 Public Education Awareness National Pipeline Mapping System 6132 with the amendment the adding of the end of the following map of the high consequent area of the Secretary shall maintain a part of the National Piping Mapping System testing with the high consequent areas described in section 6109A of which the pipeline is required with the integrity management program regulations including any priority sensitivity security information update map biannually program to promote awareness of the national pipeline mapping system no later than 1 year after the date of the enactment subsection Secretary shall develop and implement a program promoting greater awareness of the existing with the national pipeline mapping system to state, local emergency response. Other interested part of the program shall include the guidelines on how the national pipeline mapping system located with the pipelines, communities, and local jurisdiction. Information of the emergency response agency, the guidance no later than 18 months after the date of the enactment of the Secretary shall issue the guidance of the owners of the operative of the pipeline facility with the importance of providing systematic specific information on the pipeline facility, emergency response agency of the communities and jurisdiction with the facilities are located. Consolation before us issuing the guidance of the paragraph 1 of the Secretary shall tell the owner and operative of the pipeline facility to determine extent over the owners and the operative will already providing the system specifically information for the pipeline facility and emergency response agency response plan in general the 601 amendment with the adding of the end of the following 601 6138 response plan in general Secretary J. Transportation shall maintain a file copy of the most recent response as defined in section part 194 title 49 code of regulations prepared owner and operative of the pipeline facility provide upon written request or person copy of the plan will exclude if the Secretary determines the appropriate priority information, sensitive security information, including information described in 11525A of the Title 49 Code of Regulations, the specific response resource, the tactical resource deployment plans, specifically about the location, worst case, the discharge is defined in 194 Part 1 Title 49 Code of Regulations, including processes which are owner and operative determines worst case discharge relationship with the Freedom of Information Act. Nothing in this section may be construed with the required disclosure information regarding records of the disclosure under section 552 title 5 clerical amendment of the analysis chapter 601 amendment inserting the item after the item relating to 6137 as follows the following. Alright, section 7 cast iron gas pipelines filed with the survey section 108D with the amendment of the heading of the following with no later than December 31st, 2012. Every 2 years after the Secretary shall conduct the follow-up survey with the benefit of the progress of the owners operative of the pipeline facility have made adopting and implementing their plan for the safe management replacement of the cast iron gas pipelines. Staff report no later than December 31st, 2013. Secretary shall transmit the Committee of the Transportation Infrastructure for the Committee and the Committee of the Energy Commerce for the House of the Representatives, Committee of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Senate of the report and data of the total mileage of the cast iron gas pipelines in the United States. Evaluate the progress of the owners operative of the pipeline facility have made in implementing the plan for the safe management replacement of the iron gas pipelines. Section 8 leak detection program, leak detection report in general no later than 1 year after the date of the enactment of the Secretary of Transportation shall submit to the Committee with the Commerce and the Senate Transportation State with the Committee with the Transportation Infrastructure for the Committee with the Energy and Commerce, the House of Representatives report leak detection system utilized by the operator with liquid pipeline facility, transportation related flow lines. Contents. The report shall include the analysis of the technical limitation of the current leak detection system, including the ability of the system to detect the rush or small leak with an ongoing intermittent what done with the foster development hydro technology, analyzing practicability, establishing technical, operational, economically feasible standard capabilities such as the system detect leak for the safety benefits, diverse consequences of the requiring operators to use leak detection, rulemaking requirements. The review period is defined in subsection term of the review period being for the period beginning with the day of the enactment as of this act and ending of the earlier the day of the war issue after the day of the completion of the report in the day 2 years after the day of enactment of this act. Part 2, congressional authority in order to provide Congress and the necessary time to review of the report required subsection A of the implemented appropriate recommendation secretary during the review period shall not issue the final regulation described in paragraph 3. Standard of the assumed with the practical following of the review period report required with the subsection A defined with the practical steps technically operational economically feasible standard for the capability of the leak detection system of the detect leak for the secretary shall issue the final regulations that require the operator has liquid pipeline facility with the leak detection system with the practical and establishing technical operational economically feasible standard capability of such system detecting system saving clause notwithstanding any of the provisions subsection secretary during the review period with the issue final regulations described in paragraph 3 with the secretary determines the condition posed with the risk for the public safety, property, environment, and the president imminent hazard exists the regulation will address the risk of hazard imminent hazard defined in subparagraph A with the imminent hazard mean with the existence of the condition related to the pipeline operative of the president substantial liquid likelihood of death, serious illness, severe personal injury, substantial endangerment of health and property, environmental may occur. Section 9, incident of notification. Revision regulation no later than 18 months after the date of the enactment of this act, with the Secretary of Transportation provide the regulation issued under Section 191.5 and 195.52 of the Title 49 Code of Regulations establish specifically time limits of the telephonic electronic accident incident involving pipeline facility Secretary of National Response. Minimum requirements involved revising regulations Secretary the minimum of the established time of the telephonic electronic notification accident incident required with the notification earliest practicable moment of the following conforming the discovery of the accident of the incident no later than 1 hour or the following time of the surface confirm discover the review the procedure the owners and the operative of the pipeline facility the national response company provide through the court notification all relevant state and local emergency response official for the file, including 911 emergency call centers for jurisdiction in which the pipeline facilities are located in the event of the accident incident revises such procedures as appropriate. Alright, requires the owners of the operative to provide the initial telephonic electronic notice for the Secretary of National Response Number, the estimated amount of the product of the relief, the estimated number of the fatalities and injuries, if any other information determined appropriate by the Secretary within 48 hours of the accident incident to the practicability. Updating reports after receipt of the revision described in subsection B3 with the National Response Center shall update with the initial report accident and the incident of generating new report. Section 10, transportation and related to onshore facility response plan compliance. In general, subparagraph A and B with the section 3311 M2 of the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, Title 33, United Code 1321 M2 that each amendment of the striking administrator or inserting administrator Secretary of Transportation, conforming amendment to Section 311B6A of the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, amended with the strike of the operating and inserting operating with the Secretary of Transportation, or Section 11 of the pipeline infrastructure data collection in general with the 6132A with its amendment adding at the end of the following any other geospatial technical data including the design material specification Secretary to determine the necessary care of the purpose of the section. Secretary shall give the reasonable notice for the operative data that is being requested. Disclose limit of the freedom of information requirement section 6E 132 that remember the act with further amendment with the adding at the end of the following public disclosure limited Secretary may disclose the information collected with the pursuant subsection A with except to the extent permitted in section 552 title 5. Section 12, transportation related oil flow lines. Section 6102 with the remember the act with the further amendment with the adding of the following with the transportation related oil fuel lines, data collection Secretary may collect with the geospatial technical data transportation related with the oil flow, but including unregulated transportation related oil flow lines. Transportation related oil flow lines, but defined in subsection transportation related oil flow lines means the pipeline transportation oil over the ground in which well the origin name of the craft is not owned but the producer of the regulars to the extent which the oil has been processed if at all. Section 3, limitation. Nothing with the subsection authorized Secretary to prescribe the aim of the movement of oil through the production, refining, the manufacturing facility, or the oil production flow lines located with the ground wells. Alright, Section 13, in calls for coverage design review. The general Section 61.11.7 of the M of the remember the read is filed with the cost recovery design reviews of the in general of the review cost of the project with the described M and the subparagraph of the of the conduct of the facility design in connection with the proposal constructing an installed liquid natural gas facility, including the construction oversight of the Secretary required person proposing the project to the pay of the cost incurred by the Secretary relating to such reviews if the Secretary exercises the cost recovery the authority described in the paragraph the Secretary will prescribe the fee structure system and methodology that is based on the cost of the providing these reviews and prescribed procedure collective fees under paragraph of the sector. The Secretary may not collect with the design safety reviews under the paragraph of section 6301 with the same design safety review project with that so paragraph A apply with the project that have the design construction cost of $2.5 billion periodically adjusted the Secretary to ask into the amount for the consumer price index for the all urban consumer publicity appetite rental labor based on the cost estimate provided by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission for the application certificate public emergency necessity gas pipeline facility applicant to the authorization of liquid natural gas pipeline facility and pay for the good faith estimate developed the person proposing has liquid pipeline facility submitted by the secretary through the new novel technologies designed determined by the secretary. All right, notification of any of the new pipeline facility construction project with the secretary would conduct the design review. The person proposed the project shall notify the secretary provide the design specification construction plan with a procedure related to material release in 120 days prior to the commencement of the construction to the maximum extent practical no later than 90 days after receiving the design specification construction plans received related with the material secretary should provide written comment feedback of the guidance of the plan of the project. Our pipeline safety design review fund establishment of the established pipeline safety design review fund with the Treasury of the United States. The deposit of the secretary will deposit the funds paid within the subsection of the fund. Usually, the amounts of the fund shall be available to the secretary amount less the Operation Act for the Office of the Cost of the conducting facility design safety reviews in this section. No additional permitting authority, nothing in the subsection can instruct the authorization secretary to require the person to obtain the permit before beginning designing construction in connection with the project described in paragraph B1B. Our guidance no later than 1 year after the date of the enactment of the Secretary of Transportation shall issue the guidance clearing with the meaning of the term of the new novel technology design within section 6111, 6011.7 and N1B2 with the title 49 United States as amended with the subsection A, section A of the section. Section 14, biofuel pipeline. 6101 is amended in subparagraph A with the striking in, and then after with the semicolon, the designating redesignation. Subparagraph B is NC, and inserting after paragraph A of the following non-petroleum fuel, including biofuel, flammable, toxic, corrosive, would be harmful for the environmental release significant quantities. Any carbon dioxide pipeline. The 61 with the I1 is amended with the vice for the secretary shall regulate with inserting the following transportation liquids. The secretary shall regulate with adding the ending with the following new paragraph of the transportation gas state minimum safety standard. The secretary shall prescribe the minimum safety standard of the transportation carbon dioxide by pipeline with the gaseous state. Consideration of establishing standard that shall consider the web of the plane with the minimum safety standard. Part 105 Title 49 Code Federal Regulations effective date with the enactment of the paragraph of the transportation carbon dioxide liquid state with the transportation carbon dioxide with the gaseous state would ensure safety. And the subject limitations statutory construction everything in the subject authorized secretary regulated equipment production extraction recovery lifting stabilization separating treatment of the carbon dioxide preparation carbon dioxide of the transportation by the pipeline production refining and manufacturing facilities. Section 16 the transportation diluted bitumen no later than 18 months after the date of enactment of the act of the secretary of transportation complete with a comprehensive review of the hazard liquid pipeline facility regulations determine whether the regulations are sufficient to regulate the pipeline facility used in transportation diluted bitumen conducted with a review of the secretary shall conduct with the analysis whether any of the increase the risk of relief of the excess of the pipeline facility transporting diluted bitumen. Secretary will report the result of the review committee of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation, Senate of the Committee of the Transportation Infrastructure, Committee of the Energy and Commerce for the House of Representatives. Alright, Section 17, study the non-petroleum hazard liquid transportation by pipeline. Secretary of Transportation may conduct the analysis of the transportation non-petroleum hazard liquid pipeline by pipeline facility for purposes of identifying the extent with which of the pipeline facility currently being used for the transportation non-petroleum hazard liquids of the chlorines, whether from such as chlorine from the chemical production facility across the line. Air is not owned, but the product of the air is able to publicly analyze and should identify the extent in which the safety pipeline is used and regulated by the state, evaluate the transportation of such chemical to the pipeline facility, air for the available areas of accessible to the public would present significant risk to the public safety, property of the equipment, and in absent regulation result that any of the shall be made available to the committee of the comments for the sign of the transportation, sign of the comments for the transportation infrastructure for the commons, and the committee of the energy and commerce for the House of Representatives. Or Section 18 clarifications. Inspection maintenance Section 6108 one is amending the intrastate with inserting A with the owner operator 6102 with the A282A is amended with the striking owners and operator inserting any or all owners operator. Or Section 19 maintenance thereafter with the 6107 amending the adding of the following for each fiscal year of the 2002 12 of 2013 shall be the travel of the grade with the waiver of the state of the state with the can demonstrate the inability to maintain a group of required funding share of the safety of the program and above the level that will require the subsection due to the economic hardship state of the fiscal year of the 2014 if the fiscal year thereof the secretary may grant and a waiver of the state can be made the demonstrator describe the preceding sentence. Alright, administration and enforcement issue of the regulation in order no later than 2 years after the date of the enactment of the Secretary of Transportation issued the regulations hearing over the section 6112, 6117, 6118, 6122 of the Title 49 United States Code of the Committee between before presidential presiding official, providing opportunity of any further requesting hearing under 112 of the 117, 118, and 122 of the sub of the title of the range of the transcript of the hearing explained at the request of the person ensuring the expedited review of the name of the order issued pursuant to 6111 11, 12, 11, 2E with the subject title implementing separation function for the personnel involved with the investigation, prosecution, enforcement cases, advising the Secretary on the finding of the determination, prohibitions, ex parte communication relevant to the question for the described, deciding such case for the parties for the investigation hearing. Presiding official for the regulation issued under the subsection defined with the term of the presiding official for the meaning of the person who conduct the hearing of the relating to the civil penalty reassessment of the or the safety order for the corrective action orders required by the presiding official for the attorney staff as if the deputy chief of the council of the pipeline has the material safety administration that is not engaged in investigating the prosecutorial function, including the preparation of the probable violation noting relating civil penalty assessment note of the relating compliance with the notice of the proposed corrective actions. Alright, expedited review. The regulation issued within the subsection defined by the expedited review for the purpose of this paragraph 1C. Certain judicial review of 6111 9A is amended with the adding of the following new paragraph of the judicial review agency action with the section shall be applied to the review in section 706 for the title 5. Section 21 gas hazard liquid gathering lines. Review. The Secretary of Transportation should conduct the review of the existing federal safety regulation of the gas hazard liquid gathering lines located onshore, offshore of the United States, including the inlet of the Gulf of Mexico. The report of the Congress and general no later than 2 years after the date of the enactment of the Secretary shall submit to the Committee of the Transportation Infrastructure, for the Committee of the Energy, Commerce, for the House, for the Representative of the Committee of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation of the Senate report the result of the review. Recommendations of the report shall include the Secretary recommendation with respect to the efficiency of the existing federal safety law regulation, ensure the safety of the gas and has liquid gathering pipelines, economic and the impact of the technical practicability, challenging complying with existing federal regulation, gathering line with not currently with the subject of federal regulation compared with the public safety benefit. Subject risk-based assessment need has been modified with the revoke existing exemption for the federal regulation of the gas and head liquid gathering lines. Your offshore gathering line section 6C 108C is amended by adding the following: if then reviewing the existing federal state regulation ahead of liquid gathering lines located offshore of the United States, including the inlets for the Gulf of Mexico, Secretary has determined the appropriate Secretary shall issue regulations and the notice of the opportunity in the hearing subsection officer has liquid gathering lines had liquid gathering lines located within the inlets Gulf of Mexico to the same standard of the regulation I had liquid gathering and the regulations issued under paragraph shall not apply with the production pipelines flow lines. Alright, so that's the excessive flow valve of the section 6109 the E3 with the design with the redesignation paragraph of the B with the C with the inserting the subparagraph of the A with the distribution branch for the multifamily facility, small commercial facility, no later than 2 years after the day of the enactment of the Pipeline Safety Regulatory Certainty Job Creation Act of 2011, after issuing final report of the evaluation of the National Transportation Safety Board recommendation excessive flow valves, the application of the other than interpreted line and serving one single family resident with the Secretary appropriate shall regulate with the requirement of the use of the excess of the flow valves equivalent technology, economically, technically, operational feasibility, newly entirely replace distribution branch over the multiple family facilities, small commercial facilities. Section 23, maximum allowable operating pressure in terms of chapter 601 amendment in this act with the further amending adding the end of the following maximum allowable operating pressure 6139. Our verification records in general, the Secretary shall require that each of the owner operator of the prior of no later than 6 months of the day of the enactment of the section verification for the records owner and operator relating to the intrastate gas transmission pipeline owner and operator class 3 and 4, location class 1 and 2, high council area purpose of the verification shall the ensure that require records accurately reflect the physical operation character of the pipeline described in the paragraph the one conform to the established maximal operating pressure in the pipeline. Element of the verification process of the subparagraph the subsection shall include the element Secretary consider the appropriate reporting documentation certain pipelines no later than 18 months after the date of the enactment of the section. Each owner and operator of the pipeline facility shall identify and submit to the Secretary documentation relating each of the pipelines within over the owner and operator describe the subparagraph section A1 with which of the records owner and operator is insufficient conform to the established maximal operating pressure segment. Exceedance of the maximal operating pressure of the exceedance of the maximal operating pressure with respect to the gas transmission pipeline with the owner's operator of the pipeline facility exceeded the buildup of the allowed the operating pressure limited with the control of the device owner and operator shall report the exceedance to the Secretary of Appropriate State authorities and on or before the 5th day of the following day of the exceeds the curve of the determination of maximal operating pressure in general with the cave of the transmission line with the owner and operator of the pipeline facility identified under subsection B1 secondary shall require the owner and operator to reconfirm the maximal operating pressure of the expeditiously, economically feasible, and to determine the action of the appropriate with the pipeline owner and operator to maintain safety until the maximal operating pressure is confirmed. Interim action of the determined action for the owner and operator of the pipeline facility taken on paragraph 1B with the secretary shall take into account potential consequences of public safety and environment, the potential impact of the pipeline safety, reliability, deliverability, and other factors appropriate. In general, no later than 18 months of the day of the enactment section, secretary shall regulate with the conducting test of the conform of the material strength of the previously untested natural gas transportation pipeline located at the high constant areas operating under the pressure of over the 30% of the specified minimum yielded strength. Consideration developing regulations secretary should conserve the safety of the testing of the methodology, including the minimum pressure out testing and the alternative method, including inline inspection, determined by the Secretary by equal or greater effectiveness, completing of the text consultation determined by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, state regulators as appropriate to say the established time frame of the completion of such tests, but taking into account the potentials of the consequences of public safety and the environmental minimize the cost of the disruption in high consequent areas defined in section of the term of the high consequent area may be described in section 6109. A, the clerical amendment of the analysis of the chapter 601 amendment of the intermediate relating to 6138 with the following. Alright, section 24, limitation, incorporation, documentation, reference 6102 the amendment of this act with the amendment of the adding the following. Limitation of the incorporation document, the reference begin 1 year of the day of the enactment of the subsection secretary may issue the guidance for the regulation pursuant to the chapter that incorporates by the reference the documents over the portion left of the documents over the portion thereof that would be available to the public for each on the internet. Section 25 of the pipeline safety training with the state local governments for the personnel with to further devise object with the 601 with the Title 49 United States of the Secretary of Transportation provide with the service of the personnel of the pipeline here the safety administration provide with the training with the state of the local government personnel with the pipeline safety training facility established and operated by the agency instrumentality of the United States of the United unit of state or local government, any of the educational institution, reimbursement of the training expenditures. In general, when not with any other provision, the Secretary may require reimbursements from the federal government that all expenses incurred with the Secretary provided with the training and state and local government personnel with the under subsection A would include the salaries, expenses, transportation of the pipeline hazard material safety administration personnel with the cost of the training, the material of the authorization appropriation, the amounts collected with the reimbursement on paragraph 1 of the authorized of the appropriated purpose of the 4th of the 601 Title 49 U.S. Standard Code. Or section 26 of the report of the minority-owned, woman-owned, disadvantaged business, more than 1 year after the day of the enactment of the Act of the Comptroller of the United States, based upon they were able to information for the Committee of the Commerce for the signs for the transportation signs for the Committee for the Transportation Infrastructure for the Committee of the Energy Commerce House representing the comprehensive report assessing the level of the type of the participation method of the facility participating minority-owned business enterprise, woman-owned, business-owned enterprise, the disadvantaged business enterprise with construction operating pipeline facility in the United States. Or section 27 of the report of the pipeline project, the study of the Comptroller General of the United States for the conduct of the comprehensive study regarding the process of obtaining with the federal state of the performance project for the construction of the pipeline facility, the evaluation conducted and study of the Comptroller shall prevail with the long issue take the issue of the permits of pipeline construction in relation between the same with the federal government for issuing such permanent recommendation for the state of the permit with the permanent process. Consultation conducted and study of the Comptroller shall consult with the Committee with the Transportation Infrastructure, the Committee with the Energy of the Commerce for the Comments for the House of Representatives, the Committee for the Commerce for the Science for the Transportation of the Senate. Report no later than 1 year after the day of the enactment of the Act. The Comptroller shall submit to the Committee for the Transportation and the Committee for the Energy Commerce for the House of the Representatives and the Committee for the Commerce and Senate for the Transportation of the Senate with the report result of the study. Or section 28. Over the buried pipelines in general, chapter 601, the amendment of the Act of the Federal, remember the adding of the end of the following 60140, cover over buried building, have liquid pipeline, consider the involved with the buried pipeline with the serve of the standard for transportation, with the study, have liquid instead of the crossing of the inland body with the water with 100 feet, higher watermark determine the depth of the cover over the buried pipeline, fact of the accident release had liquids. 2. The report no later than 1 year after the day of the enactment of this act, the Secretary shall transmit to the Commercial Committee for the Transportation of the Infrastructure, the Committee for the Engineering, Energy Comments for the House of the Representatives, the Committee for the Commerce, Science, Transportation, Science for the report for the result of the study, the assessment of the current requirements of the depth of the cover over the buried pipelines, and with the final completion of the study, the Governor subsection A, Secretary found the depth of the cover over the buried pipeline, contributing factor for the accident relief that had liquids from the pipeline with the Secretary in the later 1 year 8 day of the completion of the study. Sure for the determination of the requirement of the depth of the cover over the pipeline over the pipelines. R2 legislative recommendations. The development Secretary to determine the paragraph 1 of the current requirement of the depth of the cover of the Berry pipelines. In addition, Secretary to develop the legislative recommendation improve the safety of Berry pipeline for crossing inland bodies water with at least 100 feet of the high water mark of the high water mark to the high water mark. Consideration factor to develop the legislation recommendation under subparagraph A of the Secretary shall consider factors specified in section 102B2. Board of Congress Secretary to develop the legislative recommendations subparagraph A. Secretary shall submit the committee is referred to with the subsection A to the report containing the legislative recommendations. Clerical amendment analysis of the chapter 601 amendment of the inserting the end item relating to 6139 of the following. Section 29 seismicity and identify the available potential threats of the pipeline safety pursuant of the 192 and the 195 of the Title 49 Code of Regulations. The operator of the pipeline facility shall consider the seismicity of the area. Section 30 tribal consolidation pipeline project no later than 1 year after the date of the enactment of the after the Secretary shall develop and implement protocols consult with the individual Indian tribe that provide technical assistance with the regulation pipeline under the jurisdiction of the Indian tribes. Section 31, pipeline inspection enforcement. Even inspection enforcement needs no later than 12 months after the date of the enactment of the Secretary of the Transportation will submit to the Committee with the Transportation Infrastructure, the Committee with the Engineering, Commerce House, the Representative Competence, Committee with the Commerce for the Scientific Report for the provides information, total number of the full-time equivalent position, pipeline inspection enforcement personnel. The pipeline has the Material Safety Administration. How the total number of such positions, how many of the position not filled, the reason for the position not filled, the action of the administrative pipeline, have the Material Safety Administration take fill the position. In addition, inspection, additional inspection enforcement resources the need of the pipeline has the Safety Administration, Transportation Administration staff. The subject of the available funds, the Secretary may increase the number of the position pipeline inspection enforcement personnel of the pipeline has Material Safety Administration by 10 full-time equivalent employees if the on before the September 30th, 2014. Secretary filled with 135 full-time equivalent positions for pipeline inspection with enforcement personnel specified in the Section 18E of the Pipeline Inspection Protection Enforcement Safety Act of 2006. In preparing the report under subsection A, the Secretary found that the additional pipeline inspection enforcement personnel are necessary. Or Section 32, authorized operations. Secretary has head liquid Section 6125A with the demand of the readers. Gas head or liquid in general, the care of the provision of the tap is relief of the gas and head or liquid in Section 12 of the Pipeline Safety Improvement Act of 2002. There is an authorized to be an appropriate Department of Transportation for each fiscal year 2012 to 2015 from the fees carried over the 6301, 90,679,000, from which 4,746,000 for the carrying out of such Section 12 of the 336 million. 194,000 for making the grant trust fund amount for the addition of the amount for the authorized or appropriated the paragraph of the authorized for the appropriated for each for the fiscal year 2012 to 2015 oil spill for liability trust fund care of the provision chapter related to the head with section 12 of the Pipeline Safety Improvement Act of 2002. Alright, emergency response. Emergency response grant in section 6125B2 of the amending the strike of 2007 to 2010 and 2012 to 2015, one call notification program 6107 that is amended, and subsection 207 striking out 207 to 2010 to 212 to 215, subsection B striking out 2007 to 2010, inserting 2012 to 2015. By striking subsection C, State Damage Prevention Program 6134 amendment at the end of the following the appropriate authorization appropriation is authorized the appropriate secretary to provide grants under the section of $1.5 million each fiscal year to 2012 to 2015 should be remain available until expended. Community Pipeline Safety Information Grant 6131 amendment in subsection A with striking $50,000 inserting 100,000. Subject B with the inserting point of the grant recipient of the contract with this section inserting the directive advocacy against the pipeline construction expansion project after and the lobbying. Section 3 subsection D with instructed $1 million each for the fiscal year to 2003 through 2010, $1.5 million fiscal years 2015 to 2012 to 2015. Pipeline Transportation Research Development, Section 12 of the Pipeline Safety Improvement Act of 2002, Studio Science Code 6101. Note is amendment of subsection D, but is adding the following the ongoing pipeline transportation research development and general after initial 5-year program plan, the carried out with the participation agency, the Secretary of Transportation, coordinated the Director of National Institution of the Standard of the Technology appropriately shall prepare the research and development program of every 5 years thereafter the shall transmit the report of the Congress on behalf of the result of the day of the implementation of the program every 2 years for the biennial report, which shall include the summary of the update of this research of the need of the priorities identified throughout the consolidation requirement of paragraph 2. With the consolidation secretary shall comply with the consolidation requirement of paragraph 2 with the preparing program plan, and selection of the prioritization research development projects. Funding of the non-federal source of the secondary shall ensure that at least 30% of the cost of the program-wide research and development activities are carried out using non-federal sources. And two, in subsection F of the striking 2003 through 2006, inserting 2012 to 2015, approved January 3rd, 2012. And this was Pipeline Safety Regulatory Certainty Job Creation Act.